TIFU by becoming an accidental active school shooter. This happened in the aughties. TL/Dr. below. My, relatively small, HS held an unexpected live-active shooter drill. It was the first time they had ever done this. I don't know who developed this genius procedure. It actually makes no sense because of how they initiated it. We had once previously practiced what to do in this event maybe a week prior, kind of casually. The teachers were aware of the timing of this drill but didn't tell us because the trauma would help us react better? No idea. In fact, I remember our teacher, and likely all others, calling in at one point probably to check in that everybody was accounted for. However, it so happened that I was kicked out of class just prior to the announcement. My teacher was pretty flustered after minutes of me being a clown, and just yelled at me to get out, but he was super frantic about me getting to the office immediately. Now I understand why. It's a mistake, but I played my part soon after. On my way to the office, I was taking my time of course. The lights went out as though a main breaker were flipped, just the way they all went out immediately. Emergency exit lights came on, and the principal came over the intercom telling all teachers some code phrase which basically initiated the lockup/lights-out/cower in the corner procedure. I was truly in a WTF state. Here's where I F up. Now I am the only dummy walking the hallways. Given the layout of this building, when I tell you it was dark, I mean you could hardly see your own hand dark, even with the small distant exit emergency light down the hall. And it was completely silent now. It all happened in a matter of seconds. I can't say I was scared necessarily because we all knew that there'd likely be a live drill at some point. Still, given my aversion to our principal since I was in trouble a lot, and not knowing what to do, I just ran following the wall with my hand back to my class and started banging on the door. I assumed my teacher knew what was happening and I didn't want to be in more trouble, so I just yelled, "Hey, let me in." The entire class of 20 kids in the dark instantly screamed at the top of their lungs, which then caused the adjacent classroom, who was also in complete darkness, no windows on this side of the building, to also start screaming and panicking. This coalescence of fear became so loud that nobody knew what the hell was happening, and the teachers were of course required to keep the doors shut no matter what, nor were they supposed to communicate with anyone outside their door till given an all clear as far as I recall. Again, this was not a well thought out plan. Now of course, my teacher must have called the office, but the message wasn't relayed properly and I'll never know what he told them, because somebody came around the corner and in the loudest voice I had heard in my life said, "Get on the ground." There was a police officer visiting the school to oversee the drill. So whether he was taking the opportunity to do his part in acting or really thought I somehow picked the worst possible day to commit mass murder, I don't know. He did not have his gun drawn, just his flashlight. He grabbed me up and took me to the office. The rest was a huge blur, but essentially I was not punished for that, but I got extra cheesecake for my classroom behavior given the context. There was an assembly held the same day where we were all apologized to for not running this drill knowingly first. Parents were pissed, it was a whole thing. TL/Dr. became unaccounted for just as an active school shooter drill was initiated, ran around and scared the life out of roughly 50 people. Edit, spelling. When I was in school, the drills were always surprises. During the first week of classes, each teacher would run you through the plan for that specific classroom. Your school clearly needs the practice. Kids who scream just gave away 2 classes. Yeah, seriously. At my school, during drills that are announced beforehand, you have the problem of kids thinking they're really funny by making noises, giggling, screaming, etc. For real, if it was an actual situation instead of a drill, we would be dead thanks to these people. Man, I hate it when I accidentally become a school shooter. Man, I feel like that's more the school's fuck up than yours. Could have gone way more on. If someone had hurt you while trying to survive, I'd blame the teacher more than anything. He knew the drill was happening soon. He should have just let up stay and sent him to the office after. Wow. And here I was thinking this was clickbait. TIFU by ruining a happy family. Look, all good TIFUs, this didn't happen yesterday. My wife and I went to one of our favorite restaurants in town a couple weeks ago. It's just a bar and grill on the lake shore where you can sit outside right next to the water. Whenever the weather is nice, we love sitting out there and enjoying a couple beers with dinner. One of our favorite parts about sitting out there is the wildlife. From our spot, you can look into the water and see fish swimming around and ducks love hanging out there. I assume people toss fries or whatever for the ducks, so they made this area an official hangout. On this particular evening, my wife and I were the only ones eating outside and we saw a pair of ducks, a drake and a hen, swimming offshore. I thought it would be fun to pull up YouTube and make duck noises. I found a video that had a couple different duck calls, so I started playing it. Lo and behold, the ducks responded. At first they started by making the call back to me, but gradually, they moved closer and closer. They ended up on shore and only a few feet away. It was a pretty fun experience. That is, until it got out of hand. Apparently my phone was loud enough for other ducks to hear, because another drake swooped in. This other drake had no interest in me, however, he immediately went for the hen. This led to a fight between the two drakes. They started yelling, quacking, at each other and eventually flew off and chased each other around the lake with the hen following them. Unfortunately, the original drake did not win the mating fight and the new drake flew off with the hen. My wife and I stared at each other in disbelief as this whole thing played out. She still jokingly calls me a home wrecker, and I suppose that's fair. I'm not really super torn up about it. In fact, I find the whole situation kind of amusing. I thought this more light-hearted TIFU belonged here. TL, Doctor, went to dinner and played duck calls. Called in another drake and ruined a family. Dang, my first gold. I feel we're taking this blood money, but thanks anyway. Imagine the poor duck on a date with his girlfriend. Next thing he knows, he's unconscious in the lake with his girlfriend leaving him for another guy. Life's not all it's quacked up to be. Happy family torn apart by foul play. This the most clickbait title in this son's history, smiley face. I have a record, Voices of the Loon, that has different loon calls. There is a little blurb on there saying do not play near loons during mating/breeding season. You will most likely end up with an angry paired male loon or a cheesecake single loon at your house. Either option is not a fun time. Birds do not cheesecake about when it comes to banging. I used to live in an area where I could hear a bunch of loons calling to each other from the different lakes and ponds. It was great to play that record, later in the summer, and hear them trying to figure out who the new guy in the neighborhood was. Cheesecake single loons in your area. You mother ducker. TIFU by knocking out the guy I'm seeing. This actually happened yesterday but I couldn't get a chance to post it. I'm a pretty basic white girl. I'm 21, I like Starbucks, I wear leather leggings and hoodies, I'm blonde, I have a part-time job as a secretary, so it was not surprising that the guy I'm sorta dating didn't believe me when I told him I've been kickboxing for the better part of a decade. Instead of going to the gym and jogging, kickboxing has been a way for me to be active and stay fit. It kinda pissed me off he thought I'm making it up to look cool in front of him because he's been trying to get into kickboxing, so I figured, why not have like a fun date at the gym he's been going and kick the heavy bags and have fun. He kinda laughed at the idea but I made him accept. We got to the gym, I met his gym friends, his coach, and so far it was going good. The dumbass jokingly said we should spar and that he'd go easy on me, told me with sparring gear it wouldn't hurt and it'd be fun. There was no way I'm saying no to that. My plan was show him that experience matters and make him believe me that I've really been doing this for a long time, but no, the butternut didn't put on any protective gear. I got mad. We begin. He's laughing, his friends are laughing and cheering for me like I'm some kid, and I'm just getting more and more pissed off by the minute. The cheering was the boiling point. Soon as my date got close enough, out of nowhere I decided to head kick him with everything I had. I literally grunted as I kicked him. In the 10 or so years I've been kickboxing, I don't think I've ever kicked anyone that hard. He was out cold before he even hit the ground. Needless to say, when he came to his senses he had no choice but to accept that I've actually been kickboxing for quite some time. I also invited him over at my place tonight and planned to make him dinner to apologize for the KO. Surprisingly, he doesn't hate me and laughed it off and accepted the dinner invite, which is a win in my book. Doctor, My date didn't believe me. I've been kickboxing for quite a long time and asked me to spar. I head kicked him and knocked him out cold. Edit, this kinda blew up and I can't reply to everyone. I know what I did is cheesecake up and bad, and I realize how bad it'd look if the genders were reversed. I didn't post this to gloat and brag, nor do I think he had it coming. I thought this sub is about cheesecake ups. This was a cheesecake up on my part. I didn't realize this would offend so many people. Edit 2, guys, I can't stress this enough. I posted this because I butternut up. He's fine and his coach took him to the hospital. I'm really sorry if this came out as me bragging. It's on me for writing it up like this. I hope someone reads the edits because I can't reply to every individual comment. The incivility in this thread is getting out of hand. Op knows she butternut up and she has said her date has been to the hospital and is fine. Since you all want to keep insulting each other and Op, I've had to lock this thread. Right leg hospital, left leg cemetery. I feel you Op. I'm a heavyweight lifter and I was seeing this guy who didn't believe I could deadlift 300 pounds, and when we to the gym, I proved him wrong and he said something along the lines of, I don't think I can continue seeing you. It's a turn off and totally not feminine. What a moron. Knowing you could carry my passed out zucchini out of a fire would be awesome. OP, I zucchini up tremendously and I feel terrible about it. ITT, wow Op, you really cheesecake up.